Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we're going to work on a bracelet. I think this one's going to be really pretty. It doesn't have my normal spacers in it, but it's going to have chain on two sides, and this is a really pretty chain. So let's turn down and I'll show you what we're going to do. So I have some green Emerald SoftFlex in medium. Now this unfortunately is a discontinued color, which is sad because I liked this dark green. It works good when you're working with dark green. And then we've got the beads for our strand. This is a lobster claw to end it and a couple of jump rings. Not jump rings. I do have jump rings, but not yet. These are crimp tubes to put our bead strands on. I've got a couple of big flat back crystals. Those are going to go on our connectors here on either spot. We're going to do that last so we don't have to worry about them getting knocked about while we're working. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these connectors and we're going to go with one of these big green teardrops this direction. And then these two crystals. These are quartz crystal chips. Well, nuggets probably would be what the better name. And this tiny little then those are going to hook to either side, like so. Now I'm going to take some of the chain, and I have to cut these little guys off because I don't want these on here. These little end pieces here. We just want the circle piece. We don't want this hanging off piece here. So there's that off. Bing. I think the other side had one too, so we'll cut it off while we're at it. So there we go. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take our chain and we're going to jump ring it, bing, from here to here on both sides. And then whatever more room we need, we'll put some chain on either side to form the back part of our bracelet. So this is what our bracelet's going to look like. We're just going to start it. This we don't want to put on until we've got our bead strand on. Why, you ask? Because we don't know what the length is going to end up. Now we can guesstimate. It looks good right here, but I don't know that that's going to be the final length. It might not be, because when you put on your hook up on your bead strand and such, and you crimp it, it tends to take a little more room. So let's get our wire out. We don't need a lot, just probably about so much. I only need enough to string our beads and then have a little bit of room to do my crimping. So we're just going to cut that right there. And we'll put our wire aside. Now I'm going to hook this onto the one side right off the bat so that I don't have to worry about it later on. So we'll go through here and we're going to push it onto our crimp, get it on here as tight as we want it to be. We don't need it to be real tight, but we also don't want it to be so loose that you've got a big gap there. So let's get our crimping pliers out. I use the magical crimper. We're going to put that crimp tube right in the divot and lightly squish down, and then turn, squish again, and keep turning and squishing until you've formed a little round bead. And usually that's when it will stop when you go around. See, it's barely giving any room, so pretty sure we're pretty tight there. So now we will load our beads on, and I think that these teardrops have plenty big enough hole that we don't have to worry about our wire. So question is, do I want that way? Yeah, it's good enough, I guess. Come on, little guy. Where's your hole? There it is. Now we put on this one. And our other teardrop. Facing the other direction. So there is our bead strand. And now we're going to hook it on to this side over here. So just like before, now see, I did cut more wire than I actually needed. I'd rather have too much than not enough. So we want to feed this on here. Now you'll notice I'm feeding this like I'm doing it sideways, and I'm doing that because I do not want our connectors to be facing opposite directions, you know, one upside down to the other one. So we're just gonna bring that in a little bit more. Now I moved that wire a bit because I'm trying to get it so that it is going into the groove of one of the crystals, so it's not acting like it needs more space for the wire. So now we'll crimp it. And cut this extra wire off. And there we go with our bead strand portion of this. Now this is going to sit, come on baby, across the top of your wrist like this with our little connector starting down the side, but not entirely, as you can see. And now we're going to, you can sit however you want, I don't care, little crystals or little quartz crystals. Well, I guess they are quartz crystals. Like I said, this is going to go on here where this little patterned spot here. And now we're going to take our chain and we're going to decide how much chain we need since we now have it all laid out here. So we're going to jump ring that on here. And unfortunately, one more is going to be too big. And we may need to use a couple of different jump rings to get that into place properly because it's going to be a little longer. Not as long as I was hoping for. I mean, a short, we're off just a hair's breadth as far as where we would want to cut it. So I'm going to have to cut it right here. And again, on the other side, the same way. So it looks like 7 links for, you know, one for each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yes. So we're going to take, I'm getting my heavy duty cutters out because I'm not sure if this is steel or not. And it's cutting pretty hard, so it could well be. Then we want to cut that little jagged spot off again. You didn't come off, you should have come off, come on. There we go. Want 7 more links. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need to cut it right here. So there's our 2 sets of links. Now I'm going to cut this off again so that it's not got this little connector on here. And then part of this is going to go for the back, but we got to get this rest of this put together before we worry about the back, because we are We don't know how long it's going to end up being until we get these pieces put together. So we'll put that in aside there. Now we have our little Tinky Tots here. And I'm not sure, we may want to switch to the medium size because of the length of our the part we have to go across here. So I think I am going to switch to the mediums. So we'll put those back in their case and we will get the medium out. Right here. And we'll get 2 for each. Well, we'll need some for the other sides, either just putting the sides on too, so we'll just pour out enough for that too. So I'm going to get our pliers out, and I'm going to start attaching the chains. So we'll go through this one, then put our chain on. Let's put you guys aside so you don't get lost. Then we'll close this one up. One side. Now I think that the medium is going to work pretty good, even though it looks like it's going to make it a little longer than the the middle strand. That's all right, because it's going to need to have a little room for wiggling around. So we'll close this up. And there is the one side of the chain done. The Tinky Tots would have made it maybe hang a little better. Maybe we will try the Tinky Tots because it is quite a bit of an extra there. So as you can see, it hangs down a bit. Well, maybe it doesn't. That wasn't quite straight. So let's get the other side on and then we'll make a judgment if we need to. So same thing, just open our jump rings up, put them on one side, add the chain, and close it. Now we're going to grab the other side, put it on. So onto here. Then our chain comes up and on, and close it up. So there we go. Now as you can see, this side over here looks tighter than this side. I don't know why that is, because everything's the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, same size of jump rings. But anyway, there is our, go down there, crystals, base part. So now we have to decide how much more we need for our sides, because that's what we've got right now, is putting on our side pieces, our lobster claw. And we really don't even need another jump ring because this has enough holes in it that this can hold our lobster claw. And then, of course, the last step we'll do is to glue on our crystals. So I am going to attach one side of this. Then we're going to measure it, and we want to leave 1/2 inch spare from what we want, so, which is a normal 7 inch. We're going to leave a 1/2 inch spare so that we can put our lobster claw on. So we'll open this baby up, and I'm just going to add it to one side, the full strand. Close this up. Now, as you can see, we have our chain going this direction. So, you know, we want it to go, it'll go sit like this on your wrist. Well, unless it's got a wowie here, which it seems to have right now. It'll sit on your wrist like so, and then it's gonna chain over here. Now, my wrist says it needs to be this long. I'm not sure I agree with that, so we'll get out our bracelet sizer, and we'll see what the bracelet sizer says. So, here it is, and if we put this on 7 inches and put it right here, stop bagging up on me, little one. It wants to be a pain because the chains keep going under the connector, which is making it be not quite correct. So we hold this here, bring our chain around to here. So it would say that this link is where we want to cut it off. However, like I said, we need to leave the space for our lobster claw. But I'm not going to, because we want this to fit different size wrists. So I am going to cut this right here. And then, of course, like I said, I'm going to cut this little weird wowie off the end too. You could leave it because until you use the chain again, you really don't need it. It's not really a worry, but I don't like leaving them, so I'm going to cut it off. So now this little bit of chain is extra. Bing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to back it onto itself so I know about where our middle is, which is right here. So I'm going to back that up one and take it off right here. Oop, come on, baby. Bing. And then, of course, we'll take this other thing off here as well. Now, the next step is we're going to put the the lobster claw. We're going to hook it here on this side. And it looks like I need one. Oh, no, it's up there. I see it. And we're going to hook our lobster claw on. Now, I did check this lobster claw. It does work. We'll test it again here in just a second, just to be absolutely positively safe. And it works fine. So now we've got this side done. Oops, we're upside down. Flip it back. Now we need to hook this side on over here. We'll go through our connector and then through our chain. Close her up. So there is our bracelet. Now if I were to hook it on this very end one, it would probably be longer than the 7 inches. Let's do that. So we'll flip it over, hook it up to our end circle here, and we'll see exactly how long it got to be. Come on, baby, on you go. Now see, it's between 7.5 and 7 3/4. And no, there's nothing hanging underneath, so that's good. So there we go, that's the longest. We can make it shorter by just putting it in a different loop. Say this one maybe. Now I've got 2 things still to do. One is when I'm doing ending a chain like this, where it's not actually going to be necessarily the end one, I like to put a pretty down here. So I'm going to get a pretty to put on there, and then we need to put our crystals on. Now I've got a little jump ring, and I've got this crystal right here, and I'm just going to take this crystal and hook it directly to this last, or I could jump ring it. Maybe I'll just jump ring it with one of our medium jump rings. So we'll fold this baby over, get our bell making pliers, our stepped ones, up and over and around, bring her down, bring her over, and then we'll just wrap her up. Now I don't normally do this by hand, but this wire is pretty lightweight, but it is starting to want to bend and get in my way, so we will get our pliers out and wrap this baby up the rest of the way here. Now this green is is not quite the same color, but I think it's close enough to work fine. Tuck that tail in. Tuck. That tail is being difficult, so we will see if I can get it to clip off a little bit more. Go and see if we could get it to tuck more now. There we go. So there is our little dangle for the bottom of our chain. So we'll hook that onto right there with a small jump ring. Well, it's one of my medium size ones. I'm going to use the medium size because everything else is medium. So we'll open this baby up. And hook our pretty on the end of this chain. There we go. And now our last step is to put our crystals onto our connectors. So to do that, all we want is just a little dab of E6000. Well, hopefully, there it goes. And when I say a little dab, I just really mean a little dab. Because since this is flat on both sides, anything we put on here is going to spread out some. So there we go. Now we're just going to pick up our crystals. I usually do this with tweezers, but these are pretty good sized ones. So we're just going to push it down into place. And there is our bracelet all finished. Okay, now the crystals will have to dry for 24 hours before they're right where they should be. But there is our pretty bracelet. And it will look like so when it is on. Isn't that pretty? So I think it turned out really, really nicely. Anyway, I think so. I hope you do too. Jump rings are a little bit up. So there we go. So that's its finished look. And we'll put it on the sizer so we can see exactly what it looks like on the sizer. And so let's do that. I'm going to notch it probably about, I don't know, halfway up our chain. Ta-da. And here's our sizer. So we'll just carefully put this on here and slide it down. I don't want to get my crystals peeved, so okay, that chain's a little twisted, as is this one, so we'll straighten them up some. And I've got it up way high. I obviously should put it down on one of the other links if we wanted to go for the normal 7. So maybe about here. Let's see where that took us to. So that's actually bigger than 7. So as you can tell, we've got definitely adjustments we can make with it. I think it's very pretty. This looks like it's extra long, but it really isn't. It's the way this is sitting on the sizer. Because it's going to be different on your wrist. So there we go. There's our bracelet all finished. Isn't that pretty? So we'll take this back off of here. Whoop! I didn't mean to drop that. And there we go with our bracelet. Like I say, we're going to have to let the crystals dry for 24 hours before they're really going to be ready to use. But very pretty bracelet. Anyway, I think so. So this has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we've been making this beautiful bracelet. It's for some wedding jewelry I'm making for somebody, and I think it turned out beautifully. Now the chains could have been a little shorter on either side because they do bag down a little bit. If I hold it upside down, you can, actually they don't that much. So I think it's turned out lovely. There it is again. Like I said, the chains are bagging a little bit, but not too badly. So there we go. So that is our bracelet all finished. Isn't it pretty? I think it turned out quite nicely. On the other side, I have the chain with our little crystal dangle here. And there we go. There is our bracelet. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.